Hello, 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 anybody who is there? Nobody yet, I'm sure. Just thought I'd get back to my eagle. I have been tied up with other things for today. Drop frames detective. Hopefully we're not too bad off. Try to clean that edge up a little bit. I'll get in here with a looks like we've got a couple viewers coming in. So yeah, I've been tied up on other stuff today. I haven't had a chance to get back this eagle I started last night. I'm not going to stay on real long now because I want to catch, hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. New setup. The only thing new right now, I bought a stand for my laptop to sit on. You see me sitting at a different location. I've got my desk out more in the middle of the floor right now, but all of this is going to change. All of my studio is going to change, and I keep saying I'm going to move. The problem is I keep saying I'm going to move, but then I get commissions every time I slow down. I think I'm going to move, but I can't stop painting long enough to tear my studio apart. So what I'm going to do is move to another room in the house so I can get in here and revamp everything and clean up a lot of stuff. Put some new flooring in here, clean up everything, patch up some drywall, a little bit of work like that. So yeah, the only thing new is you just see me from a different angle than what you usually see. What is up, Todd? So it's coffee and a cigarette time, and work on, my eagle. I'm just going to work really lightly. Boys. Hey, sorry about that. Nope. What is it? Rico. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Get your butt down. Dad gonna get your butt. Come on. Oh, I know they don't belong there, do they? Sorry about that. I got 2 stray dogs in my yard, and my cur don't put up with that crap. He's like, Daddy, come let me out. Caroline! It's gonna sound like we're working in a kennel here. So yeah, so right now I'm working with a really light bluish gray, and I'm just going to come in here. I don't have all my lines drawn, so you'll see me start just kind of filling in. Get them boys. I'm online and these boys are going nuts. Take him upstairs or something. So anyway, so yeah. You can come in and out the regular one. Now I have one neighbor across the street whose husband is he's a professional musician. He plays for a really big time artist, and so he travels a lot. He does a lot of touring, and so when he comes home, my dogs bark at him because they're like, well, you don't belong here, man. So as y'all can see how light, and I'll do more work with this, but you can see how light these first strokes I'm putting in here, or how light that value is. I'm sure you can see it start taking a little bit of shape and some shadow, but you can't really watch the paint hitting the surface. Use that, come down that edge and soften that edge up a little bit. Then I'm going to use my buddy here, my little think y'all can see that. It looks like I can see it on my display where I'm going out, what that does. But all this is, it'll create depth, but it's pretty subtle. Actually, it's a little bit too blue right now. Might be, we'll see. I'm saying it's a little too blue, but I have got to get in some of the other colors before I judge that. So I'm probably only going to stay on here a little bit because Steve goes live. Steve Lee goes live here a little bit. I like catching his live streams. Hey, John, how's it going, man? So Steve's just a cool guy to hang out with. Of course, he goes live about the time my wife's coming home, so sometimes I miss it. So I think y'all can see how that it says. I'm dropping frames here, so hopefully that's not too horrible. Gonna do a little bit of erasing and stuff under this beak, so I'm just gonna get some color in here first. All this I did last night, and it's still got more to go. Or obviously it's got more to go, or I wouldn't be in here working on it. I still got to do the eyes. As I come in under these feathers, that lightish bluish mix, I knew it would make it a little bit darker on them browns, give me a little bit more shadowing as I'm working on those. So I left those a little bit light with the intent of knowing that I was going to be bringing some blue in, that I just let that blue run over that edge, darken them edges up a little bit, get that planning the picture like that. Saving having to be too concerned about it. The mix is transparent, but I've got it toned down with a bit of transparent base so that it doesn't hit much color at all. Makes it very controllable like that when you need really subtle tones. I should probably be recording this because I planned on this being a tutorial piece for my Patreon page, and which I got all the other rest of it recorded. But I do got to do a little bit of sketching because I don't, as you can tell, I don't have any lines drawn in the white section. So knowing where everything goes is, you know, got to pay attention to that. So what's everybody else doing? Anybody do anything real cool? Anything? Everybody just working the normal work day, doing the day-to-day grind? Good job. I set that down there anyway. Now I'm going to do the same thing with some sepia. As I did with that blue, that I'm going to use some trans base. Keep that toned down a lot. Still be easy to go pretty dark, I'm sure. It's alright, started is, you know, it's not a race, as long as there's no time crunch on it. Not a race, usually. Sometimes I get it, it's a race, but occasionally. I don't like to. I I am using Createx illustration paints, yes, currently. Some of this is not though. Some of this was done in golden high flows, I believe, and or not. I believe I know some of this was in golden high flows. Now the feathers do some weird stuff here. You go from these tiny hairs, and it keeps mixing and matching up in this one section. And my internet's sucking. All this online school, man. Maybe now y'all can see what I'm doing. Now I think the easiest thing for me to do here is going to be just throw in some color and erase back. What do I like about Goldens? Well, if I'm not working on metal, I like Goldens. Golden is really smooth flowing. Golden high flows. They're really smooth flowing. And the other thing that's cool about golden is like your colors are actual artist colors. So you know if you do any work with acrylics, you know if you go by, you know, I'll have to pull out some, you know, if you know what quinacridone red looks like, then you know what, you know, quinacridone red's going to be. And if you know what cadmium yellow is, then you know what cadmium yellow is going to be in the golden high flow range. Or at least, you know, rough proximity, because between different brands paint vary. But it's really, really smooth flowing, and it can reduce with just water. The only thing I don't like about it, I don't like to use it on metal. You know, so, and it does okay, like if you were to lay down a sealer layer, a layer of sealer and paint on top of sealer, you know, it does okay, but it's a little bit thin for that. Coverage is not its strongest suit, but they flow tremendously well, and the colors are awesome. Like if I do, yeah, I'll be posting the first part of this as a tutorial. It'll be a short version on YouTube, and I need to record this so that I can get this up as part of the tutorial. It's going to go the entirety. Long version is going to go on my Patreon, and it'll be up before it'll be out on YouTube on Patreon. It'll probably be this weekend, if not later, before I get it to YouTube, because I'll still have to edit it and stuff, and I just got other stuff going on. And I really thought about not going live on it today, because I was like, man, you know, if I go live on it, then I kind of lose the tutorial part of it. But I was not motivated at all to get back to painting right now at this moment. I've got other stuff I was working on all day, and I was like, man, I don't even feel like painting. And the one cool thing about getting on live is I know if I go live and I'm, going live, then I'll always paint while I'm live. And that might sound like well, that's pretty lazy, but the way I look at it is I'm better off, giving myself some motivation when I'm not motivated to work. It's really easy not to get motivated to work, depending on what I'm painting on. And this, I was all stoked about doing it last night, and then I started it in the evening, and I was all stoked about painting this. And last night I wound up being up late, got a lot of stuff going on, and I stayed up pretty late. So today I came back, and I was wanting to stay up last night. I was like, at midnight, I was like, man, I'm gonna go finish that eagle. And I was like, no, I really need to not do that, because I'm trying to get a little healthier. And one of the big things about that is, I'm eating better and I'm getting some exercise. Yeah, I'm a smoker, so talking about health sounds funny. But if you're trying to exercise and you're working out and then you don't sleep, it can be a big issue really quickly. So, and I'm the kind of person that I'll do that. I'll stay up all night, paint, and then, But I was like, no, I'm trying to get my body clock back in tune to where it needs to be. So I was like, no, don't come back in here painting at midnight and staying up all night. So yeah. But definitely, to answer the question, it will be the first part of this, the beak and the tongue, which are, I'm pretty stoked with them. I knocked and I changed some of the colors from the reference, so I'm pretty stoked with those. Actually, it's this painting. I intend to do this painting as and offer prints for it. I actually plan on putting this one up for sale. Most of the time, my tutorial pieces I don't put up for sale. But this one I am painting this with the intent of putting this up for sale. And I'm also planning on making prints of this one and about 3 or 4 others. I really need to get that panda. I don't know if some of you guys have even seen it. Well, if you've watched my YouTube, you've probably seen the panda. I'm going to go try to take the panda later this week. I'm going to try to take that panda over and get it scanned. The one I did a couple of years ago. And offer it up for prints. Try to do a few prints. Get a little income coming in here, especially since this is that time of year that things are really slow at the moment. So yeah, I intended to throw these in without doing a whole lot of scratching on this one, but I guess I changed my mind midway. So if y'all are interested in some prints of some of my work, please let me know, because I am going to get some done up. Whether I'll do giclée prints or not will depend on, because they're expensive, much more expensive to get done. I can't print them at home either. So if I do giclées, yeah, they're considerably more money than standard prints are. I do have the capability of some really quality prints. So as far as capturing the details and stuff like that, I'll be able to do once I get to the scanner. And I actually got to get that scanned, professionally scanned, to do that. It can the giclée prints can be kind of expensive to do, depending on what you get them printed on. They can get to be pretty expensive. If you've got to go, what's expensive is getting all, like if you take it down to get it scanned, they charge some serious money for that first scan. And what they do is they'll get that scan when you're going to do prints. They'll scan it, and then they test it, they print it and see what it looks like, and then they adjust colors. They'll do color adjustments and stuff until you're happy with the print, and that can cost a couple of $100 just to get everything ready to go to where you're happy. So yeah, if you're not talking about taking and scanning in a little home scanner or something, then getting it prepared for print can be an expensive cost. And then from there, it's really not that bad. The giclées aren't real bad. I think when I was last looking at it, like to get a giclée print at like an 8x10, but that's still a lot more than a standard print. 8x10s were like, my cost on them were going to be like $8 to $10 a piece, depending on how many I ordered. So, but you add in that first initial scan, and it can be really expensive depending on how you handle that, and if you've got, you know, a place that you use or anything. But yeah, every place I've checked locally wants quite a bit to get the scans done. And it depends on how much you want that color match. But I mean, when you're talking about color matching for a giclée print, and they got to scan that in, because like I said, what they'll do is they'll actually, you know, scan it, and then they'll look at it, and then you got to come over there and meet them at the studio, and then sign off that you're happy. So they might print out several prints, just testing and making sure everything's right. That's why they charge a lot of money for the giclée, or for getting ready for giclée. Of course, you're supposed to get you get the you know, even your regular prints, your scanning can cost you whatever your scanning costs. Because a home scanner can do pretty cool stuff, but it's really just not the same as having it professionally done by a shop. So now, if I were to do, if I were to do prints from scanning them myself and just printing them out, you know, and then, you know, I could get those done. I mean, it'd be my time, but I could be able to make prints for about, because I've got a photo printer, a really good, a nice photo printer. You know, printing them myself, you know, I can get them done for like, I can get them done for a couple of bucks a piece. So making money on them, I mean, I could sell regular prints depending on the size, you know, for $10, $12 plus shipping if I wanted to go that route. But it is not the same, definitely, as nice as having the shop do all the color correcting and all that on it. But I've done that myself, actually. I have done prints myself, and that's what I do is color correct and color match, and then I print several test pieces and do my color correcting from there. And I actually got a couple of artist friends to get prints done, and they, you know, that's what they started doing. They started doing getting their scans done and getting all the adjustments done themselves, and then they send them to the printer and tell them to print without color correction. They say it's working good, but I'd have to you know, be able to do that. I might, because I'll probably be on Steve Lee's feed. I might ask him, because I know he gets them done. So I might ask him a little bit more, because he gets a lot of prints done. So somebody who's done a whole lot more. I've probably only sold ever of my own work maybe 30, 40 prints. Now I have actually printed some other people's art who had the digital files. I've printed other digital art for people here, so my printer can print some pretty cool stuff. I didn't intend on getting into all this scratching today. Gotta find my stuff. I've moved something. Moved stuff around. It says we got 9 people in here. Nobody's chatting, talking. Y'all can't be that focused on what I'm doing. This get pretty boring if we just talk, if we're not talking. Yeah, I'll show you how I pull big chunks out. Hopefully y'all can make that out. What I'm actually doing. And if y'all see them scratches around the edges, that's not scratches in the artwork. Don't worry about it. I have automotive tape taped around the outer edge. And so anywhere there's automotive tape, paint don't stick to it very well. That to give it a nice clean border. Usually this white feathered section for me is a pretty fast process since I do a lot of pets and stuff. I can usually roll through this pretty quick. Like I can probably, and I won't have as much time, that much time, because I only got a little bit. Normally I can get this part done real fast since I do so many pets stuff, especially if I'm going to do like erasing techniques like this. But this one has a couple of different colors in there I want to just be paying a little more attention to. And then when I get close to a little closer, after I get all the bulk of it put in, I'll come back and I'll really detail out these handful of feathers right here with some small stuff. But that's all gravy stuff. That's all just kind of stuff that don't necessarily, like, some people won't even tell you put all that work into it. So now we'll pull into that background. That paint's been on there for a while, so it gotta pull on it pretty hard. Since that paint's been on there since yesterday. I am painting this one on TerraSlate. TerraSlate synthetic paper, which is my favorites. Now why? Yeah, it came back. Cool. My Wi-Fi's acting up too. TerraSlate synthetic paper, which is my favorite of all the synthetics. And the reason I like TerraSlate so much, as a synthetic goes, if you've ever painted on synthetics, you know how easy it is to scratch most of them. Well, really all of them. Well, but like, I can literally, like, take my nails, I can rub all over this. If this was on Yupo or some of the other any of the other synthetic papers, and I started doing all this, rubbing my fingers all over this, you'd start seeing scratches and all this everywhere, and then I'd have to fix it, and it's such a pain in the butt. This holds more like gesso board does. Now, with that said, some people don't like it because it's not so easy to scratch. But me, I don't mind that it takes a little more work to erase it. It's actually, you scratch back on it just fine. Like if I take an X-Acto you know, let's put it somewhere where I don't have to, where I've got some stuff coming in. Like I'm gonna come over this eye in a little while anyway, so if I take this X-Acto, well, find me one that's actually got some blade left on it. Yeah, it's no problem. I can still pull out those little scratches without any problem. Show you a couple here. Not putting very much in there because, well, I don't want a whole lot of heavy scratching going on. So it's not any problem to scratch. It's a little bit harder to erase. Here, I'll show you. Than other synthetics. But really, I like that because I can come in here. I'll show you. If I've gone too far, and I've still got a couple little things to do the beak, so I'll do this. If I've gone too far with something, the way synthetic is, you know, way this holds paint, is I can come in here with an eraser and sit here and just slowly work and slowly work. And I don't even know if you can tell, but if I gently continue to erase, I can pull color back. I actually have a spot on the beak that I'm going to be putting some white over anyway because I want to encourage some blue shift. Right here, I can come in here without worrying about scratching back to white. See how I'm erasing? You see almost nothing's happening, but that's because I'm just gently pulling back the layers of paint. If you watch, it'll get brighter. And unless you just really go crazy. Can I pull it back to white? Yes, but it doesn't accidentally pull back to white very much. Whereas the other synthetics, you start erasing, you get that. You can really quickly get into going from pulling back a little bit of color to, oh crap, I just pulled it all the way back to white and then messed up my day. Because that's always what I've always hated about synthetics, why I don't work with them too much, is because I always found myself having to knock back, add back color. I've never really enjoyed working on most synthetics, and I do still occasionally. I got some Yupo here I occasionally mess around with. But I prefer my paint to be stuck. When I put the paint there, unless I intentionally want it to go away, I want it to stay there. And some of the synthetics, I just don't feel like it stays there. You know, I mean, I've seen, like, I've got video when I first got TerraSlate where I tested it, and I've got stuff where I like painted stuff and then 15 minutes later walked over and can run it underneath the kitchen sink and it not come off. Now, if you started rubbing it with water, yes. And if you just, you know, kept doing that, of course it would come off. But it holds pretty darn tight. My new favorite tool, and I'm trying to find some online, is this little X-Acto knife with a retractable blade in it. I didn't think that pinpoint, super pinpoint precise knife was going to be, and I paid a pretty good bit for a stupid X-Acto blade, but yeah, these are ridiculously good X-Actos. This has still got 6 people in here. Still nobody much talking. That's alright. Probably won't get, I thought I'd get a little bit more done in this. but that's okay. I'm getting kind of fussy with this picture, and I guess I kind of intend to, because like I said, I plan on offering this one up for prints, so I'm probably going to be fussing over it a lot. Like, things that probably don't even really much matter, I'm probably going to go back over it 20 times, just constantly making adjustments until I'm happy. Is probably what's going to be the plan on this one. If I had drawn it all out like I should have, it'd probably save me some time too. But, you know, I like painting more than I like drawing, so it's just the way it is. So yeah, these feathers and this texture and building up that volume and depth on these whites, really pretty easy to achieve. The important thing is where most people get into trouble with stuff like this with fur is there's a different texture here than there is up here, and then again it's a different texture when it gets back here, and then we change in direction, and then those feathers become even longer. So you got short feathers here, you got super thin feathers right through this section here, longer feathers back here and here, and then these feathers are kind of long, but they also branch out more like the ones on the top of the head. So a lot of people that's where a lot of people have trouble with fur or texture. Yeah, I shouldn't say fur, with feathers on birds and stuff. And not all birds are that way, but all birds have multiple different size and shapes of feathers in them. But depending on how much detail they got in them, like in particular from the profile view of this, of an eagle, eagles have some really interesting differentials between their feathers. Anyway, this is just a pop-up, and Steve is going to be live here in a minute, so I'm going to probably pop off here and grab my coffee and go check Steve's feed up on Facebook. You know, yeah, I didn't get real far with this, but you know, I just thought I'd get on for a little bit. If more people wanted to come by, I really kind of hoped it would give me a little motivation to work. But I appreciate y'all who did come by here. And if y'all have a few extra minutes and you want to see somebody painting live, obviously if you're in here, you should pop in to Facebook and catch Steve Leahy, because Steve was painting. He was a legend before I ever started painting. And he's just a really cool guy, fun to hang out with. Hey Joel, you missing me, bud? I'm fixing to get off here. I'm heading over to Facebook to go catch Steve Leahy's live. I'm assuming he'll be live at this time tonight. My commissions, Raul, I charge on my commissions. I have a price by what's called linear inch, which isn't technically correct, but it's where you add, say they want a 12 by 16, you would add 12 plus 16. That comes to 28 times a set dollar amount. You know, and then if it's an 18 by 24, it's $42 times that dollar amount. On single pet portraits, that's what I charge by that. And then if they add a second figure, it's usually another $35, $40 to add a second face inside the same size image. As far as pricing, like, you know, this one's going to go for sale. But usually unless they're complete originals. I usually don't put up a whole lot of my stuff for sale unless it's completely original. This obviously I have a reference for. But I do have some that I am going to put up for sale, and have some stuff that are not, my original 100% art. Most of the art I've sold, aside from doing commissions, has been like, let me grab you a piece. My more abstract type stuff and different, a different type of painting. Well, yeah. Like, let me just do this. We'll move the main camera. Like this, and actually it should have been sold a long time ago. I sold stuff like this, like my metal grinds, and I priced those depending on complexity. So it's a little bit different. So when I do stuff like that. So hopefully that answers the question. But yeah, on my commission work, I do have a set price, and for a single figure, and then an extra price for a second figure. I charge more for human portraits than I do pet portraits. Probably not because humans are actually harder, but because for me, I do so many pets that pets are, really easy, and it's my main gig. So, but my other work, yeah, like that, that's an entirely different thing, and it's priced, based on complexity. It might have to do with what surface it is. Like, this needs to be buffed still, but that's automotive clear over ground aluminum. So if I were selling that, they're small. If I was selling that cheap, I would really quickly lose money on it with the candies, the automotive clear, the aluminum panels. So I'm not asking a lot out of those, but yeah. How do we find the guy on Facebook Live? Steve is in Steve. Leahy is Leahy Art. Steve Leahy Art. And I'll share it. So if you find me on Facebook, I'll share it as soon as I get into his live stream. Because, yeah, Steve's just a really cool guy. He's like the master miniature. He's the guy that painted all them little razor blades, paintings on razor blades and stuff like